Hello, everyone watching. Um, uh, my name is Paul. I continued this video from the last video I did, which I'm telling about the story of my case, which I won on 8th of this month. In my first other video which I had done, I was able to tell details of the case, of the issue which I had with a book supplier, and there I made a very important submission that the police, the Nigerian police, charged me with a crime of defrauding the book supplier. But the court, the magistrate, gave judgment that the charge is discharged, that the claims or the allegations or the charges that the police charged me on, being that I defrauded the bookseller or the complainant, the court discharged it, that the charges were not what supposed to be. So now I told the story of what we went through, of what I went through, how the police, arrested me, how the police didn't allow me to say my own part of the story, and they did not even listen when I was, narrating my story. They already have their mind made up based on what the complainant told them, and at the end of the day, they charged the matter to court. But I'm happy that it was brought up. So I'm continuing on this story from the experience or the observation that I observed during my 43 days in jail. I observed a very serious problem concerning our police department, the police officers, because as I said in the other video, that I was taken back to the police cell as a court-ordered inmate, waiting for my bail condition to be perfected. And there, it took me days. 43 days was what I spent in the police cell due to the issue with the pandemic in 2020. So I was not able to go to prison. I was taken back to that police jail cell where I was jailed as a court-ordered inmate until my bail conditions was perfected. So during those times, I observed a lot of injustice on Nigerian citizens by the police. So this is exactly where I'm going to focus on in this video. Those injustice that we are meted on Nigerian citizens. So, as I told you the last time, I actually wrote down all the things that I'm going to say. So just a day or two after my release in 2020, that is around between October 13th and October 16th, I wrote down all the things that I'm reading now. So I'm going to read them out so as to be as accurate as possible, because I had written them down and I had kept them. I didn't want to bring them out to the public then, due to it not being considered preempting the court, or bringing out matter that is being taken care of from the court to the public. So I allowed time to pass, and now I'm trying to tell it out because it is very, very painful. Please, let's follow through. I had touched on this issue earlier, and I gave some examples of the cellmates, and in all, no independent, stand-alone police report of what happened. No investigation synthesized the issues of the parties involved and proved the suspect to be the actual suspected person that committed the offense or crime. In advanced countries, the police dare not arrest a suspect without strong investigation that pins the suspect to the crime. When a crime or event that demands police attention happens, the police will first begin an investigation. The aim of the investigation is to prove that the suspect did the crime. The essence of this is simple. An innocent person should not be unjustly punished for a crime he or she did not commit. However, in Nigeria, this concept eludes us. It is all about accusing someone. Whether the person did it or not, the person gets arrested. Then it is either the person agrees to settle with the complainant, and the police would call off the case and grant the person bail or move the case to court. A little middle ground exists if the accused luckily has a good lawyer. Then the lawyer will face off with the police and the accused complainant, and the lawyer would face off with the police and the accused, being the complainant, of false allegation, as most cases are. Then the police would likely grant the suspect bail and ask the complainant to take the matter to court. More examples of the first complainants are the masters, and the accused are the modern slaves. A man was brought into the cell based on the allegation that he defied his 3-year-old daughter. The man told us his story. He is separated with his wife, the mother of his 2 kids, a 7-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. Both kids lived with him together with his mother and his sister, and his sister's 2 kids, a boy and a girl. That means 4 children lived in the house with 3 adults. The man's daughter slept on the same bed with him. The man's daughter sleeps on the same bed with him. He bathes the children and cooks for them almost every day. Then, every other week, his 2 kids will visit their mother for the weekend. He does not let the children go out of the gate without proper guidance and care. While the man is at work, the children's grandmother and aunt looked after them. He said that he was surprised when the kid's mother called him and told him that their daughter had been defied. Before he could place a hand on the situation, the matter had been taken to the police by his wife. The police arrested them without their own investigation to know if the man did what he was accused of or not. Because there was no investigation to implicate the man found a way to beg his wife to withdraw the case and did some financial settlement. That was the end of the case. No one knows exactly what happened to the little girl. I know the case file is gathering dust right now, as the girl could just be continuously abused as the perpetrator of the crime is out there. 2 brothers were brought into the cell on the accusation that one stole a phone, and there was a financial transaction made from the stolen phone out of the complainant's account. The other brother was brought in for trying to rescue his accused brother from street bad boys who were beating the accused to force him to bring out the lost phone. The story went like this. A 13-year-old boy normally sits with a petty trader in her shop. The shop owner, a woman, normally sends the boy to errands, and at times the boy assists the woman to sell when she goes for a short time outing. One day, the woman didn't see her phone where she kept it inside her shop. She began to cry out loud that her phone had been stolen. The story of the stolen phone didn't get a new twist until about 3 days after the phone got stolen. The woman began to swear an oath and place curses on whoever had stolen her phone. She said that the thief would run mad and she would go to a native witch doctor to cause the person to go insane. As she was shouting and cursing, the helper boy who stayed at her shop began to shiver. That was when she pointed at the child and accused him of stealing her phone, but she said that the boy shivered because of guilt and fear of her curses. The boy agreed that he took the phone and gave it to his neighbor. He was taken to the neighbor. They went into the house of the young man and brought him out. He was asked to provide the phone that the boy gave to him. He was surprised and asked the boy if he collected any phone from him. The boy said no. Then he asked the boy why did he accuse him of collecting a phone from him. The boy replied that he said so because when he was hungry, he gave him food to eat. And when the young man ate, he remained food for him. The young man told the woman that he never received any phone from the boy and that the boy had lied. But the woman didn't want to hear that. She called the street boys to assist her collect the phone from the young man. That was when they began to beat him and tied his wrist tightly with ropes. Then his brother saw him and came to his rescue. The woman took the matter to her police officer friend. The young man, his brother and the boy were taken to the station. The next morning, his brother was bailed out. The young man was threatened to confess that he stole the phone or he'd be taken to an anti-robbery police station to be tortured till he confessed. Then the boy was threatened to keep saying that he gave the phone to the young man. The young man was given a little time to decide whether to change his statement from he did not collect the phone from the boy to he collected the phone. If he changed his statement, then the resolution would happen. He would pay for the lost phone and pay for the money that was withdrawn from the phone's owner's account. The case was withdrawn when the young man agreed to pay for the phone and the money that the woman claimed was transferred out of her account. There was no independent investigation that proved the accused true to the crime he was accused of, just intimidations and unfair arrest. A little investigation could have revealed who transferred the fund from the complainant's account and which bank the fund was moved to. With that knowledge, whoever stole the phone will be caught. But now the criminal will be out there ready to steal again, and the woman had been encouraged to continue on the path of using the police force for her personal and selfish ambition, even if it means to truncate justice. Another injustice by the police was done to a 17-year-old boy who was accused of drugging his girlfriend with tramadol in a hotel in Ejimo. This case was taken by the press. The boy was brought to the police station from Ejimo police station, where the incident was first taken to and where the boy had been in custody for a week. He told us the story that he normally tells the police officers, that he did the crime he was falsely accused of. But when it happened that I and him were the only people in the cell, he was moved to tell me what happened. Perhaps he felt that I could help him, for I had shown a cellmate who thought that everyone around him was the cause of his nemesis. I shouted to the man that he should mind himself, or if he gets me angrier, that I would deal with him, for I am a writer. On saying that, the cellmates were proud of me, and I was alone. And when I was alone with Belumi, the 17-year-old boy, he comfortably related to me what happened to him and how he got himself into the situation. From his narration, it was obvious that the police had done a pretty poor job of investigation and had forced the child to say things that he didn't do. He was the only son of his father. He was the only son his father has, and the second child from his mother. He has stepsisters. He had stepsisters, five of them and an elderly sister. He didn't finish his secondary school education, for he was unfortunately faced with a broken down home, a large family of stepsisters, less income making means from his father, and an eventual loss of touch of his father, for his father was incarcerated for a crime he was caught red-handed. He struggled with life and lived with his mother in a rented apartment in Ejigbo. His older sister was schooling at one of the universities in the country. He worked with PSC, and that is Power Holding Company of Nigeria. The event that led to his arrest began with him liking a girl he saw in a compound of one of his clients. 15 days before he was arrested, he had been at the compound to fix the meter of his client. Then the girl came out and saw him, and both knew themselves, for the boy had toasted the girl and asked her for friendship, which the girl had agreed. So when the girl saw him, she begged him to help them fix their own meter also. The girl's grandma came out and joined the girl to beg the boy to assist them fix their meter in a normal condition. If the boy had no feelings for the girl, or he did not know the girl, he would have told them that he didn't have time to look into their meter, or he would have clearly stated his price for any service he would engage in. Now he decided to check their meter. He saw a problem with the card. He told the grandma that something needs to be rectified on the card, and that he would take the card to the PSCN office to solve the problem and bring the card back. The grandma did trust him and questioned that if he took the card and did come back, perhaps this was where he would have ended the business with the family and moved on. But he agreed with the grandma that the girl should go along with him to the office and get the issue rectified. Both of them went on an errand. The grandma didn't give them transportation fare. They trekked from Ejigbo to Sele Road, where the office of PSCN office is located. Such trekking no doubt should take 2 or more hours, depending on how fast an individual walks. They got to the office and spent a little time there, for they were told to come back the next day as a result of congestion. The office was busy trying to solve similar problems for others who came before them. The boy and the girl went over to the other side of the road, trekked a little and bought bottled drinks for themselves, then took a tricycle back to Ejigbo. On getting close to the girl's house, the girl's auntie dragged the girl inside the house and began to beat her. A young but matured female and the grandma stood outside to talk to the boy. The boy explained to them how they had trekked to the office and got back in a tricycle and they didn't branch anywhere. As the girl's auntie was beating the girl, she asked her to confess where they went and what the boy did to her. She accused the girl that they must have gone to a hotel. The beating continued night after night, but the girl kept saying that she did nothing with the boy. After some days had passed, the auntie found a particle she considered to come from a male on the girl's inner wear. There she told the girl that her lies were over and that she must begin to confess where she went with the boy. On that day, the beating started again. For reasons the boy didn't know, the girl began to say things that she didn't. She agreed that with her auntie that the boy took her to a hotel and had himself on her. The auntie told the story to her friend, who advised her to take the matter to the police station, and when she gets there, she should tell the police that her little sister was drugged, and that her little niece was drugged with tramadol and raped. That was what the woman did. 15 days after the errand, the boy was told by his boss that he should report to the police station at Ejigbo. He and his boss and a fellow colleague went to the station. At the police, a female officer at the police station, a female officer told him the accusation the complainant labeled on him. He debunked the allegations and related to them where he went with the girl. At the station, the girl told the police that the boy took her to a hotel and slept with her after she had collected the drink that he bought for her. Then he went in with the drink to the hotel. He came out and gave her the drink. She drank and became unconscious of where she was. She claimed that the boy took her to a room, had himself on her, and took her out back to her house. The police didn't bother to ask questions and dig deeper to find the truth. The next thing that the police did was to threaten the boy that if he didn't write his statement to agree with what the girl told them, they would torture him at the anti-robbery torture chamber. The boy bravely continued to stand on his statement. Then the DPO ordered that the boy should be taken to the anti-robbery for torture. He was bundled up and mounted on the wall for torture. The boy became scared of the torture devices, which included fearsome whips. He, at that point, thought it better for him to lie. He began to lie and say things that he never did. He was brought down, and a new statement was written based on the new thing that the boy said. Press was quickly summoned and the news began to spread. Then his issue became much more complicated. The Ministry of Justice came in. The girl was taken to the hospital to be medically tested after the issue had become a serious case. The police needed medical evidence. The police asked the boy to take them to the hotel. Not any hotel, the boy took them to a hotel. He happened to read his sign. When he related the story to me, I asked him how he managed to see the hotel sign. He told me that he and the police officer were in tricycle. He stuck at his head and looked out for any hotel signboard. He looked at both sides of the road, and when he saw one, he shouted to the officer that he had seen the hotel. They went in and arrested the receptionist. The receptionist cried to her the 2 days she stayed in police custody and confessed that she never saw the boy before in her whole life. Next, the boy was ordered to take the police to the drugstore where he bought the drugs from. He took the police to a drugstore of an innocent drug seller. On getting to the place, the sales boy was taken into custody. Then his boss was arrested. Both men were in police station for combined days of 5 days. They cried and confessed not knowing the boy and not selling tramadol. It pained my heart so much that the police could do this to a child. In fact, when it comes to children, the police just don't mind. As long as there is an allegation, whether true or false, the person, whether child or adult, will go in for it. A group of boys ages between 11 and 15 were kept in custody in a cell beside mine. They were accused of gang raping a 7-year-old girl, and their case had been taken to court. When anyone asked about their crime, they replied that they were falsely accused of the crime. The point is, why didn't the police establish their crime to be true before arresting them? As the NSAS protest and the ensuing riot happened, the boys were taken to a juvenile delinquent home. So Pelumi's issue was just one among many. The aspect that I was heavily upset with Pelumi was on the 2 occasions of lies. First, he tried to rope himself into a terrible situation and put the lives of innocent individuals in danger. I reprimanded him severely on both occasions. I let him know that what he did was very wrong, and that he had mustered up enough, and that if he had mustered up enough courage and stood on his initial statement and remained truthful, his issue may not get so complicated. He apparently became sorry for himself for the lies. He hadn't thought that such behavior would get into such a big problem. If he had known, he would rather prefer the torture to the terrible conditions he faced after the lie. And still into his mind how lies are a big injustice to those who have the right to know the truth. And like every injustice, the terrible outcome of injustice usually has an accumulated effect and easily spread and affects innocent people. As his case proved, the lies he stated led to serious consequences and complications for him and other innocent people. I promised him that I would use whatever means at my disposal to ensure that he gained justice. If our police officers had done their job using a proper investigation approach, they would have arrived at a different and fact-filled conclusion of exactly what happened that day. They would have known if the child said the truth or lied without exerting a torture method. By determining the time frame and the distance that the children trekked would have provided a reasonable answer to how much time it took them to accomplish the errand. It takes time to go to a hotel with a girl who is inexperienced and unexposed to such activity. And an exposed and experienced girl would know how to cover up such activities when she engages in it. Forcing a lie on a girl and using the police force to make a boy lie are gross injustices to both kids. It also is a very bad example for children to learn from. Children learn more from the actions of adults around them. They are quick to learn the insincerity of adults and the double standard adults display. Such learning sends confusing messages to kids, and they see no reason to be morally conscious, as the adults are riddled with immoral and unethical ways of life. Such a confusing message was obvious in what happened between the group of children who were in the cell beside mine and Officer Bulus. A few days into my detention, Officer Bulus had his turn to mind the counter. He came into the cell area one morning, went to the kids' cell and began to say the sermon to them. The children listened attentively to his wonderful sermon when he preached about the importance of the children to control their body and not allow selfish impulses to induce them to do bad to others. The kids thanked him after he was done. He must have been proud of himself for preaching moral values to the kids. However, the kids had overheard me talk about how the police had not done a proper investigation on my case. As a result, they had caused me so much suffering. They knew that Bulus was my IPO. Was that conflicting message not obvious to the kids? They were accused of taking undue advantage of less powerful girls when no one was watching them. The IPO had also taken undue advantage of me in the hidden police station and took my freedom away as he got me incarcerated. It was very glaring to the kids. They likely learned to be smarter in copying the actions of the adults who freely do those things that they preach against. Another example I wish to relate is